This is a story of a man who has had glory all around the wrestling world, from places like Canada, the USA, Mexico, Japan, and England. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my story and my quest to find out who is David Blake. Well, let's start this story. I was always a brass individual in Canada training, trained by the best, and these three made me as I were. These people, like the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Hughes, who was always there day in and day out and always believed in me to get to where I was. Another man like this man, Thomas Starr, another man that believed in me and thought I could get to places like no other. And to be honest, I did. And also, the greatest Canadian export, Kevin Owens, he helped. Well, let's talk about my parents. My parents were alcoholics, Dad especially. He was the worst. Night after night, he'd sink in, sit in, wouldn't come out and just drink. To be honest, I'm surprised he didn't die. On the other hand, for example, Mother was worse. She drank and drank and drank until she died. I reckon that's why Dad was drinking. It sucks, really, to talk about this in the fashion that I do. But it's to get you all to like me. I'm joking, I wouldn't use this for you to like me. It was at this moment I realised that my life wasn't going nowhere. It was at this moment that I realised that I should pursue my dream to become an LWF superstar. I just told you my mother died. Here's how. Once she was driving drunk on a night out with her friends. Luckily she was the only one in the car. And then she crashed. And both people in the collision, including my mother, died. Now, I'll admit, being young, being brash, I got a bit cocky. I said to Thomas Starr that apparently I was better than him. I said to Thomas Starr that I could beat him in a one-on-one. He turned around and he said, Kid, you think you got it? Prove it. Me versus you, right now. And I agreed to that. And I regret it. I honestly regret it. As Thomas Starr, he just didn't let me go. He didn't take me for granted or for what I was, that I was a trainee of his class, of his school of wrestling. And I mean, this man had been around the world. I mean, seriously, Thomas Starr and me. Don't get me wrong though, I didn't just let him beat me up. I got a few stages of offense in there. You know, a couple of kicks, couple of punches, you know what I mean, the basic stuff. Because I didn't really learn anything then. I mean, and then there he was. It was just back to the beatdown. I mean, the thing I learned from Thomas Starr is to not take your opponent lightly. And to not take everything so easily. I mean, he beat me, grappled me, punched me. And it felt like, honestly, it felt like I was going to die. I've never felt anyone feel that angered by me in my life, apart from when Dad used to beat me whenever he had a bit too much. But I mean, this man had strength beyond belief. And I mean, just what he did to me that day just turned me. It turned me into the man I am today. I mean, David Blake, If Thomas Starr wouldn't have gave me the beating that he gave me, I probably wouldn't be the man today that I am. Put it bluntly. Thomas Starr taught me the lesson that don't be cocky. Never be cocky. But nowadays that works for me. It worked for Thomas Starr as well. Back then. I mean, in Canada, in that wrestling school, it didn't go my way, I'll say. As Thomas Starr, move after move, would always show me how it's done. Would always show me that it was all over. As Thomas Starr, as he taunted in front of my face, telling me to bring it, and that I know I couldn't do. I know I couldn't bring it the level he was, and that I was only just a recruit, and that I was only a person inside. I mean, as Thomas Starr gloated over my disabled and mangled body, as he beat me down, that was heartbreaking. As I mean, Thomas Starr just taught me a lesson. That's what he was meant to do. I mean, it was like all the anger that Thomas Starr had gathered up from Chris Hughes leaving the training academy was just taken out on me. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that Thomas Starr was doing that. And as he kicked me straight into the temple, that's when it clicked. It clicked then when I should leave this academy and become better than what I do. As I mean, when I tapped out there and then in that wrestling academy, it was over. That was it. I've been exiled. What next? I left the academy with one person, and his name was Tyler. And we moved to LA. Because, you know, I had the money then, and I wasn't the freeloader that I am now. It was here I realised that the lesson Thomas Starr had taught me was the right one. And he wanted to tell me not to be cocky, be arrogant. But again, that works for me today. People like me don't usually get what they want. People like me don't have any opportunities. And people like me usually don't get to fight for the greater good. But now talking to you in this way, talking to you in the serious way that I am, it's starting to make me feel like I am breaking out of the shell that I've been in for months now. I feel like I've been able to tell you stuff about me that you don't know. I mean, it takes a loser to know a loser, and I ain't no loser. I don't know any losers, because everyone that graduated from that academy succeeded. They succeeded in the way that they win title after title after title, and once again I've proved that. I'm sick of Lucky 13, and I'm sick of the way they act. That's why they kicked me out. I'm sick of being used as a ragdoll, always stealing Cam's wallet. But I'm just a lone wolf now. As hell in LA, we had fun. Just joyriding across bridges. Just driving to our heart's content with no one to stop us. Bearing in mind both my parents are dead. And honestly, it was the only thing that made me happy, to be quite honest. Everything I did with Tyler when we moved to LA made me happy. Joyriding across motorways. And the rest I can't say, unfortunately. But honestly, I think that this time I've spent alone from the academy taught me to go back, and taught me that I have the pride, the attitude, and the will to beat Thomas Starr. And now I went back to the training academy. And so I went back. I went back to go prove a point. To go prove to Thomas Starr why and how I was still done training and that I could beat him. So here we go. As it started off quite well. I started to get offense in. A couple of strikes, chops. But then he started. But I wasn't going to let him win that easily. Before, all he did was beat me up, and he taught me a lesson. But when I came back, I taught him a lesson, and that's not to underestimate David Blake. As Thomas Starr, he tried and tried to piss me off and annoy me. But it didn't faze me. Whenever he beat me down, I remembered the lesson he taught me last time, and that was not to give up, and that was to never give up. As I hit Thomas Starr with every move that I had in my arsenal, Chris Hughes was there. He was back at the training academy. I don't know how long he'd been there, but he saw me. He saw the fire in my eyes, and he saw the fact that I was ready. I was ready for LWF. I was ready for everything. Anything that this company could throw at me, I was ready for it. And Thomas Starr didn't think I was ready. But I am. Well, I was. Even Chris Hughes said it to Starr after this match. Starr didn't think that I wasn't ready. But I was ready. Chris Hughes did. And managed to talk him round. And then they sent me to Japan. They sent me to Japan so I could train. They sent me to Japan on the fact that I was ready. And there I met the greats. People like Adam Cole. People like Kenny Omega. People like Okada. I met the greats. And I learned from them. I learned from the people in Japan that wrestling isn't just a sport. It's life. Well, to some people. I learned that it shouldn't even be taken for granted. And also, in that match with Thomas Starr, that's where the Blakeification was born. As Thomas Starr was relentless. He would kick out move after move after move. And then I tried to find alternate ways of beating him. As I wore the black and red on that day, so I could show Thomas Starr how much I admired him, how much I could show him what I've done since I've been gone. And I mean, he'd hit me with every move, hell, even mock me at stages in that match, trying to annoy me. I blocked him out and I fought him with everything that I had. is when Thomas Starr told me to get up on the corner and tried forearming me. That's when it clicked that I was better than Thomas Starr. And it's right. Because Thomas Starr had nothing on me. He had nothing. After all the training I did in the UK, in LA as well, after all the training that I did, that was it. I finally came here to prove my point, and it looks like I did. If I didn't prove my point, I wouldn't be here doing this. I wouldn't be here as the LWF, a superstar that I am today. As Thomas Starr would mock me in this match and try to go for anything, any means necessary in this match. And that's what he did. He did any means necessary. He tried to punt kick me, but connected. He tried to bruise me. He tried to scar me for life. That I couldn't beat Thomas Starr. And he had me in the move that looked familiar. And it was the move that I tapped out to last time. But I got out of it this time. As Thomas Starr would always think of me as his son in the ring. Would always think of me as the greatest in all entertainment. As Thomas Starr would never, ever say the same about me again. I beat the man to a pulp, using all the anger, all the rage that I had before this. I used it on Starr. Starr wasn't the man I thought he was after this fight. Starr wasn't the guy that he was when I was first here. Probably that was because I called him a loser when I was here last time. As I mean, I regret calling Thomas Starr that. But it's all times where legends must die. And Thomas Starr died at the hands of David Blake. As ladies and gentlemen, now you know who is David Blake.